Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast with your host, Lorna Poole, sharing the secrets to creating wealth, investing, and that all-important money mindset. To find out more and accelerate your journey to financial freedom, head on over to www.lornapoole.com to get started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Now, this is good. Would you love to quit your 9-to-5 job and replace your income in 6 months? My guest today, Amy Coates, is an entrepreneur, corporate exit strategist, CFO, and founder of Virtual COO Solutions and 2-Week Notice Society. After 20 years in the corporate 9-to-5 world, she realized she was destined for something far more satisfying. But it wasn't enough for her to find her happy place in the world. She created 2-Week Notice Society to help women who feel the same way as she did. When she left her 9-to-5 job, started her entrepreneurship journey, her strategies contained the exact steps she followed to get to the other side and loves her life again. She now helps corporate women get their online business up and running so they can leave their 9-to-5 and be the woman they've dreamt of becoming. Amy, great to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I don't know anyone who doesn't secretly, in my opinion, want to stay in their 9-to-5.
I agree.
and create the life they want, right?
Right. I agree.
And the income to go with it.
Right. That's the most important part in the eyes of most people.
And this takes bravery.
It does. It does.
So tell us a bit of your story and how you got the courage to take the leap.
Sure. I had been in the corporate world for 20 years. I was a financial controller. I had worked for, I would say, 3 larger companies. The last company I worked with was a technology company, and I'd been there for 12 years. And I kind of just always did my job. Like I went to college, I got this corporate job, and I feel like I didn't know there was other options, really. I guess like that's what my parents always wanted for me, and they were happy, so I was happy, and I never really second guessed it. And towards the end of the 12 years that I was at my most recent corporate job, I just became really unhappy. I was bored in my job. I had kind of hit that ceiling as far as where I could go, within that company. And I was comfortable there because I'd been there so long. But I also knew that I didn't want to go to another corporate job. I just, that just didn't appeal to me for some reason. And I kind of stumbled across this whole online space, this virtual space. And so I just started to dabble in it. And once I put my mind to it, I made a bunch of mistakes here and there. But once I put my mind to it, it really just kind of excelled for me. And I was motivated by it.
You could record another podcast about making the mistakes.
Yeah, right. I always say I make the mistakes so you don't have to. That's
my line. Okay,
it's
funny how I attract like-minded people.
It is.
This is really good. I want to hear more. Okay, yeah. So you dabbled in it, right?
I did, and it really wasn't until I was like, okay, this is it, kind of made a date that I was going to do this by. And as I dabbled, I became less and less interested in my corporate job, right? Because
so tell me this, right? When you were deciding to leave, was your business already making money?
I had a goal in mind that I needed it, like that I wanted it to be making before I could give my notice. So I remember that day when I got that client that kind of sealed the deal for me. I'd had other clients, but I know I needed, this certain amount of money to really make it possible for me.
And you hit that.
I did. And then I was able to give my notice. And I talk about it a lot, that feeling is really unique. It's something, there's fear, there's like this but there's also this relief where you just feel this weight off of your shoulders. But you're still a little fearful because you're like, this is my business now. I am, really 100% responsible for making this work going forward, because I don't want to have to go back to a corporate job. But it's an amazing feeling. It really, truly is.
Yeah, because most people, and, I'm really excited to get into the juicy bits of this, but, we're sitting in our job. We'd like to own a business. We don't, getting the income to a certain level can be tricky for people, because I think a lot of business don't lead with, of course, it's all about giving value and all that, but they don't all necessarily have the background to think of the profit part of it.
Right. That's very true. Yeah. And I had a financial background, so I at least, that was kind of my expertise, I would say.
Yeah. And what was your online business about?
My first online business, which actually is still in existence today, is called Virtual COO Solutions. So I basically took everything I was doing in my corporate job and offered it to local and virtual businesses, which was financial support, like project management support. Now I've gotten more into digital marketing because I've learned so much in that space as well. And so I just started providing that to virtual clients. And then I do have some local clients as well.
So I love that you said that. So tell us this. So if somebody's listening to this today and they're like, I really want to quit my job. I think I can do it. My business is it's coming. What's your advice to them? Like you were saying there that what you shared on your online business is what you knew, is what your expertise were in your corporate job. What advice would you give to somebody that really, maybe they want a total different business to what they've been doing for the last 20 years? Like, what helps you get there so that you could have an income in 6 months?
Sure. Funny thing you mentioned that is, so the virtual CEO, I started because I was like, oh, this is easy. I do this already in my corporate job. I have the experience. I can create a business doing that. When I created that business, I had so many people coming to me online asking me, because I was very active in Facebook groups at the time, how did you make that transition? Just like probably everyone listening wants to know. And that's how I started 2 Week Notice Society, is because I was giving so much kind of free advice and value to people. And then I realized people would pay for it, So I created the 2 Week Notice Society, and I don't really have a coaching background, but I'm just sharing what I have experienced myself and then create the resources around that. So it didn't really have anything to do with what I was doing in my corporate job, although to be honest with you, sometimes working in corporate, when you manage people, it's very similar to coaching. You're holding people accountable. You're giving advice. You're sharing expertise. So it's similar in that aspect. So
I think this is really important that you said, is sometimes what we're good at naturally is easy to us, and therefore we don't always recognize it because we think it's easy to everybody else.
Sure.
But maybe that's where you should be going forward.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes that stuff when I left my 9 to 5, I didn't know that I was going to be creating this coaching business as well. And it just kind of happened to me because I put myself out there, I guess. And it just came to be.
Yeah, that's another really golden nugget about moving forward, is they always say jump and the net will appear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Another question I want to ask you is, a lot of where people get stuck as well is they're used to a certain income level.
Mm-hmm. And
then they go out and do their business and they hit that ceiling in their business again.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go from, and a 9 to 5 to business can be very different in how you receive your money as well. When you're in a 9 to 5 job, you're going to get it weekly. And in business, you can have good months and not so good months and things like that. what about what's your advice around all of that?
Sure. I think there's a couple different ways to look at it. One is, when I was leaving my 9 to 5, kind of like I mentioned, I wanted to have this buffer. I had a savings buffer. And then I also had to have income coming in that was going to replace my 9 to 5. That was important to me. I also think I've gotten to a place in my business, even right now with both of them, where it's time to scale. And that takes a whole other, I think they say new level, new devil. But it takes, I've had to become a different person, and not in a bad way, but it just takes me maybe off, we were talking about virtual assistants. I have to start delegating more in order to be able to expand more, right? I have to be able to work only on those things that are really required of me only, and allow other people to help me in order to scale my business. And that's what's going to help take me to that next level, is really recognizing, what is needed of me and where can I add some additional support to my business.
Yeah. It's funny, like, delegating is such a big part of, we can spend so much time on the things that really don't make us profit.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I did a lot of that in the early stages too.
But I love what you're sharing here. So do something that's easy and natural to you. Take the jump, have a saving buffer, right? Know that your business is doing well enough that it's replacing your 9 to 5 income. Or matching it or somewhere near it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And you're at the next level where you're like, okay, I need to scale this. So what would you say now to the woman? Okay, she's in her 9 to 5. She wants to start a business. Maybe she hasn't started one yet. How's she going to do it to make income in 6 months?
I think definitely there's a lot of personal development, and that is something I think is talked about in the entrepreneurial space, but maybe not in an effective way. It took me a lot of mindset, and, for a while I thought I needed, the perfect sales funnel. I needed the perfect freebie. I needed, all of this stuff. But what it really came down to was making sure that I had the right mindset, which is something they don't really focus a lot on, at least in the corporate jobs that I had. We didn't have a lot of personal development. But I needed to let go of a lot of things, such as comparing myself to others, where they were at in their journey. I needed to let go of people being maybe judgmental or criticizing what I was doing or trying to do. And just things like that, and just really stay focused on my path and doing what fulfilled me. Because ultimately, if you're looking to leave your 9 to 5, there's something about it that is unsatisfying or unfulfilling to you. So if you can stay focused on what it is that's making you happy and figuring that out, and not being concerned about, all these other things that are sometimes hard to, not be distracted by. But I think you're going to get a lot further that way. And that's something that I really struggled with and still struggled with on some days at this time. But it's something I really struggled with in the beginning that I think actually prohibited me a little bit as far as moving faster.
Yeah. And I think that it never goes away, but you develop a muscle towards it. And I love that you shared about mindset, because I think it's Tony Robbins who says it's 80% mindset and 20% strategy. And I love that, like, somebody who's successful like yourself has shared that I didn't have the perfect funnel, I didn't have the perfect marketing plan, or whatever that is. It's amazing how our minds is such a factor in everything.
And you get so persuaded sometimes, with, Facebook ads and things showing up on your feed, and you think, this is the next best thing. And you're like, I need this. This is a piece I'm missing. And really it just comes down to, your mind.
getting out of your own way.
Yeah, exactly.
And, this is why I love entrepreneurship or creating the Financial Freedom podcast. And I had a dating coaching business before this, and we're just switching. But what I love about it is I'm a personal development junkie. And, there's nothing like creating a business that really can help you grow and thrive. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. I mean, I've become a personal development kind of junkie. I have books everywhere now. I'm always like buying books, reading books, doing all of this stuff, but I love it. It's so helpful. And
I'm going to share two things. The first thing is, when we get this sort of urge to leave something like our 9-to-5 job, it's not working, we're getting negative, or we're dreading going to work or whatever. If you don't listen to what your calling is or what your gut, you end up paying for it in maybe health or a relationship breaks or something. Like, the happiness you get from taking the jump is so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go through that?
Yes. And the last year that I was at my corporate job, I was so miserable, and I had great working relationships with my coworkers and my boss prior to, but once I became miserable, I think I started putting less effort into my job. Maybe other people didn't realize it, but I noticed it, which also didn't make me feel good. But then I also brought home this dissatisfaction with my boyfriend. And we've been together for 10 years. We have an amazing relationship, but that year was tough because I took everything out on him. I was crying all the time. I was miserable all the time. He was like my punching bag, and for no reason other than he was there.
And you had to jump. You were holding yourself back.
Exactly. So it really, filtered into other relationships. And now everything's, amazing. But it definitely during that time, I totally agree with what you're saying because I went through that.
Yeah. And if you're in that space, catch yourself and, everybody feels the fear. I think everybody who's successful feels the fear and does it anyway, like that book, Susan Jeffers. One quick question before we wrap it up, and that is, I feel sometimes people get so focused on their business, they put all their investment into their business. It might not necessarily be making a profit, but if most people create a business as a vehicle to creating financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody is creating their business, create financial freedom, what do you think they should be doing to do that? How could their business help them with that?
You mean like how to create
financial freedom in your life?
Financial freedom? Well, for me personally, I've been able to generate more income than I would have in my 9-to-5 job. So I feel like I have more freedom because I have more income, but I also have more expenses, but I'm able to create more income. Do you know what I mean? So I have more income, but there are more expensive, but it kind of balances out, I guess. As far as how to do that, is that your question or?
No, just like something like, the reason why I asked that, because this is so focused on creating your financial freedom, that a good thing to do, for example, your online business, is start paying yourself first from your business.
Oh,
because
yes,
even
for sure.
Putting 10% towards, your financial freedom, and then later on, getting that money to work for you. Your business, as Amy says, there's no cap on the income you can earn. And if financial freedom is your thing, you need to be making that a priority while building your business.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was, yes, absolutely. Because if you're always playing catch up in your business, let's say you're not paying yourself first and you're saving it all or spending it all, you're never going to feel that freedom. if you pay yourself first, you start to feel that freedom, which will then help to create more of it.
Love it. Amy, so we've had an amazing conversation. The 2-week notice and the 9 to 5 to income in 6 months, anyone who's listening to this, women who are listening to this, and they feel this pull to do something about it, what's that one thing you would say to her? What should she do?
I think definitely start taking steps towards creating an online business or your side business, whatever it is that you're feeling pulled to do. Start taking those steps. And another thing that I like to tell people is what got you here won't get you there. And that's, I don't know who said that quote, but it's one of my favorite quotes because it applies to every aspect of your business, that you're always going to have to be learning and growing. So just know that what got you to where you're at isn't what's going to take you to where you want to go.
I love that. That is a fantastic way to end our conversation today. Amy, how do I find out more about you?
I'm 2 Week Notice Society on all social media. So 2weeknoticesociety.com. I have a Facebook page, Facebook group, Instagram, Pinterest. So you can check me out there.
And what's your free gift?
I have a free 5-day course on 5 days to leaving your 9 to 5. And it's 5 steps that you can start implementing and taking action immediately.
Thank you. And I just want to say to everybody, if you've really enjoyed this podcast and you want more help in the area of financial freedom, head on over to the Financial Freedom podcast group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. It is a safe haven of like-minded, wealth-creating go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate, give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing that wealth mindset, as Amy shared with you when we were talking how important that is. That's what changed her life. And get going on creating wealth, creating that financial freedom. Hey everyone, remember to join us in the private Financial Freedom Podcast Facebook group with me, your host, Lorna Poole. This is a safe haven of like-minded, wealth-getting go-getters who, like you, are on their journey to creating financial freedom in their life. This is where you and I can get intimate. I can give you the support and guidance to go from where you are now to where you want to be, developing your wealth mindset and creating your financial freedom life. Join at www.facebook.com/groups The Financial Freedom Podcast. You will see the links to this on the website. It's in the show notes, or type it into the Facebook group. All you have to type in is Financial Freedom Podcast and you will see us there. Look forward to seeing you in the group. Take care. Thank you for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, to creating wealth, investing, and developing your money mindset. To get started today on your journey, head on over to www.lornapoole.com and grab your free course, 5 Steps to Breaking Free from Your Poverty Mindset and Accelerating Your Journey to Financial Freedom. See you there.